I'm Ava J, and this is Bookish Pixie. So I recently got a question from someone who was having trouble finishing their manuscripts and asked if I had any vlogs on finishing your work in progress. I didn't until today. So personally, I don't consider a work in progress an actual project until I've written at least 10,000 words. And the reason for that is I have a lot of false starts. What I mean is sometimes I'll get an idea and I'll plot out the whole book because I like to plot, and then I'll start writing and I'll get a few thousand words in before I realize this isn't working. There have even been times when I've written more than 10,000 words and then abandoned the project. Because the truth is, sometimes an idea that seemed good on paper isn't really that good when I try to flesh it out. For me, the biggest determining factor is the voice of the protagonist. I usually know if I'm struggling with the voice and it just feels off, then I'm probably not going to continue with the project. So all of that is to say, I have a lot of projects that I don't even consider projects because I wrote a few thousand words and then tossed them. Sometimes an idea isn't meant to be, and that's okay. However, if you find that you can never finish a project, then it might be something else. So then the question is, how do you know the difference between a project that's okay to give up on and a project that you should push through with? I think the thing you need to ask yourself is why you're getting stuck. If you get stuck because you lose confidence in your idea, or you think the writing sucks, or you just start to get overwhelmed, then it could very well be that you just need to push through. Something else I frequently see with writers who have never finished a project is they get part way through the project, or even mostly through the project, and then they psych themselves out. In those cases, it's often a confidence thing. So here's the thing about first drafts. I don't know many writers at all, published or not, who think that their first drafts are super amazing. And in fact, most writers kinda think their first drafts suck. And the truth is, a lot of them are right. I am a writer who writes really sloppy first drafts, but I also race through my first draft so that I don't have the time to think and psych myself out of it. I find that if you go in knowing that your first draft is probably gonna suck and it's okay, it takes a lot of the pressure off. My first drafts for one of my favorite projects that I'm working on right now was a total disaster. I had blank spaces instead of character names. I told where I was supposed to show. I had filter phrases all over the place, and even the plot needed major reworking. But the point was, I got through the first draft so that then I did have something to work on and I could make those changes. I know another reason writers often get stuck, and this was a big problem for me before I began plotting, is they don't know where to go. Sometimes you write a whole lot and then you hit this point where you just can't imagine what's going to happen next. The way to break through this, I found, is to take a step away from your manuscript and then bullet out point A happens, and then point B happens, and then point C happens until you have a direction to go in. And you don't have to plot out the rest of the book, and you don't even have to stick to those points if you don't want to. It's just meant to be a little extra push to get you going again. So ultimately, if you're a writer who gets frequently stuck with projects and doesn't know how to finish them, you just need to follow your gut. If it's a confidence thing, I encourage you to push through it anyway, because it's something that all writers deal with. And if it's a writer's block thing, then I encourage you to work through it because you can get past it. But if your idea loses its spark for you and you're no longer interested in the story, then it might be time to work on something else. But ultimately, you know yourself, and you know how many projects you finished or not, and only you can get through it. I just encourage you not to give up, because you are certainly not the only writer who has had trouble finishing a project. So that's all I got for today. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and comment, and I'll see you guys next week.